Hey guys, how you doing today? Welcome to Modern. I'm Rahman. Thank you for joining my episode. So today I wanted to do a comparison, something a little bit different from some of my normal videos. And I was going to compare the Sony RX100 to an iPhone 11. This is not the Pro model, it's just like the regular kind of standard 11, minus the Pro type of, junk. But I know there's a lot of talk when it comes to compact cameras. Can, your smartphone or mobile phone replace the compact cameras that are kind of like going out of style right now? And I wanted to do kind of a compare and contrast and see if how they hold up. What are the differences? Doesn't make sense just to go solely with something like a iPhone that's had some tremendous improvements in their camera technology and replace it against the RX100, the very popular compact camera series. So if we were to compare these two devices based on their video specs, the Sony RX100 shoots at 1080p at about 24, 30, 60, and 120 frames per second, whereas the iPhone 11 shoots at 4K at 24, 30, and 60 frames per second. And then it shoots at 1080 at all other modes like 120 and 240. In terms of camera sensors, the RX100 has a 1-inch camera sensor, but the iPhone 11 has a much smaller, I would say maybe a half to 2.55. I know the terminology is really specific when it comes to the iPhone 11 camera sensor, but it's on the smaller end. The Sony RX100 has a flip-up screen that you could use to view yourself, while the iPhone in itself has kind of a front camera that you use to record yourself and view yourself. So both are kind of very, very vlog-centric and could be used to record vlogs if you're doing that type of content. The Sony RX100 also has a built-in ND filter so that you can control the amount of exposure on particularly sunnier days, and you have some control over how your image appears. And both devices have optical image stabilization. In terms of photos, the RX100 does offer the capability to shoot in RAW and to shoot in JPEG. By default, the iPhone 11 doesn't offer that type of capabilities. You would have to use a third-party app. But again, those third-party apps like Filmic Pro and Moment do have a cost to them, so you will have to pay a fee to download them and use them in your photography workflow. With some of the newer technology that the Apple has implemented into their iPhones, like the iPhone 11, iPhone 10, I think the newest iPhone 12, you do have some type of machine learning going in, and it uses multiple lenses in the device so that you can have some bokeh in some of your images. Now, my personal opinion, the bokeh kind of looks a little bit fake, a little bit digital, a little bit too digital. So it's up to a certain preference, I would say. I'm always going to be in favor of cameras just because I love the look of cameras. The RX100 Mark III doesn't offer too much bokeh when you're trying to blur out the background, but the the images do look crisp, look sharp. And again, I think it's going to be down to a certain type of preference of which you prefer. In my opinion, having a device that gives you raw capabilities, that shoots in kind of a higher resolution, gives you more flexibility when you're doing post-processing and post-editing as part of your workflow. In terms of video, particularly shooting during the evening, I found that the iPhone, when shooting video at night, the footage comes apart. It's really looks like it's breaking down. It's not very sharp, and it doesn't hold up as well as something like from a camera like the RX100 or just traditional cameras. And I think that might just be with the small sensor size. Maybe in later iterations like the iPhone 12, maybe they've kind of fixed that, but it's still shooting at night. The iPhone just can't keep up. So I will say that one of the advantages of having something like a smartphone, an iPhone, this applies to other smartphones, so don't think I'm just going to be iPhone specific. It's just for this challenge, I'm focusing on the iPhone. But having something that's constantly in your pocket, something that could like upload quickly to social media like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, it's just, you're probably going to reach for it more just because it's always with you. That's kind of one of the assets of having a mobile phone with you. So the iPhone does shoot in 4K along 24, 30, 60 frames per second. The caveat is that by default, that 4K is going to be at a lower quality compared to something such as the RX100 Mark III or just other cameras that have bigger sensors. A workaround for that is to use like I mentioned before, a third-party app like Moment or Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro, I think, costs, last time I checked, maybe $30, maybe $25, I forget. I'll have links in the description to those prices, to those apps that I mentioned in this video. Moment is a little bit more affordable at $7, but with Moment you get the ability to shoot in flat, standard, and I think log profile. So Moment is probably the better deal, whereas Filmic Pro, you pay one price and then you have to pay another price to get like log capability to shoot log on your iPhone, which is the only thing I don't like about Filmic Pro. But Moment is, I just love the interface that the Moment camera app just brings. And with these third-party apps, you're going to be able to shoot in a higher resolution, such as 100 megabits to 50 megabits. So you'll have more of a sharper quality video. I would say the only caveat that you have with an iPhone 11 is that you don't get the control that you might with a camera like the RX100, where you could shoot in full manual exposure. With the iPhone 11, you're limited to shutter priority, and just because it has that fixed lens. So you don't get the same amount of control that you would get with an RX100. With that type of limit, you're limited to shooting at certain times, and you don't have that type of flexibility that you get with a traditional camera. So if you want to have kind of a cinematic type of footage to your iPhone, you have to shoot at typical golden hour, sunrise type of times where you're taking advantage of the light, since you only have the ability to shoot in shutter priority. So on to the question, which would I choose, or which, I'm going to go with I, since this is going to be my opinion only, whether it's an iPhone or whether it's this compact camera. And in my opinion, the iPhone, I'm always going to bring that with me. So it's always going to be with me wherever I go. That's just the fact. It's, it's more flexible, and it offers more, just, I could do a lot more things than I can do with the compact camera. That being said, that doesn't mean that you have to just throw away your compact camera, or just not even bother to bring on like your really, nice looking camera with you if you're going on, a thing like a big trip or something like that. Or it's a nice perk to have one camera, one device that is dedicated and is your photography video camera. I think with how the iPhone is set up, it's not really set up to do hardcore photography or videography. It's just there for casual use. That's how they set it up. That's why it only offers, a certain type of control, such as, using shutter priority to take video. And it has its limits, just like the RX100 has its limits. So I hope that covers everything. If I've missed anything, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts on iPhone cameras versus, compact cameras. I know this is always going to be a debate whenever there's a new iPhone or a new mobile phone, Samsung, that shows up and stirs the debate of whether this is going to be the mobile device, a mobile phone that replaces the cameras, and you'll no longer have to buy cameras. So I'd love to know your thoughts. So finally, I'd like to say thank you guys for joining me in this episode. If you liked this episode, please like, subscribe, and share the channel. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.